Dr. Scott Fogel, ND, is a board-certified naturopathic doctor. He graduated with academic honors from the National College of Naturopathic Medicine in Portland, Oregon. His thesis, listen to this, Mercury Toxicity and Assessment, won the Dean of Naturopathic Medicine Thesis Award. Dr. Fogel has lectured on many aspects of medicine, ranging from mercury toxicity, sleeping disorders, ocular pathologies, hypertension, thyroid, and phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. Dr. Fogel now resides in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and is the Director of Clinical Information at Life Extension, where he oversees the quality and consistency of the scientific and medical information presented by Life Extension. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Scott Fogel, who will be giving us the most important updates on vitamin D.
All right, let me start off with my disclaimer before I forget this. I do, I guess, have a financial interest in my company. Life Extension sells vitamin D, but I will also comment that just about everybody else out there sells vitamin D as well, too. And also, it's a pleasure for me to be with all of you, because when I was writing my thesis on mercury toxicity and assessment, part of the reason I was writing it because at that time, every time I talked to a different doctor, I got a different opinion on what's the right way to do it, what's the best way to do it. And I got so frustrated, I decided, well, this is what my thesis is going to be on. Little did I know at the time what I was getting into. But that's how I came across your fabulous organization. So, vitamin D. It's been in the news a lot, and Dr. Getoff actually talked a little bit about it, and I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on it. First thing, is it really a vitamin? It's technically not even a vitamin. Vitamin D is a vitamin that's really in a class all by itself. Its primary metabolic product, calcitriol, is actually a type of hormone that targets over 200 genes in the human body. It is the only vitamin that is conditionally essential. And what that means is, if you're out in the sun, as Dr. Getoff was saying, and you get vitamin D, your body's made it. You don't need to have it come into your diet. If, however, you're not in the sun, or if you're using a lot of sunscreen, as we'll talk about later, then you have to get it in your diet. That's what makes vitamin D conditionally essential. And it has many mechanisms of action with genes as its targets. Now, there are several forms of vitamin D that have been discovered. There's vitamin D1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the two major forms are vitamin D2 and D3, and we collectively call them calciferol. And we're going to talk more about those in detail. Chemically, the various forms of vitamin D are a type of steroid in which one of the bonds in the steroid rings is broken. So vitamin D is actually a group of fat-soluble prohormones, and the two major forms are vitamin D2, ergocalciferol, and vitamin D3, cholecalciferol. Now, the term vitamin D also refers to metabolites and other analogs of those substances. And there are over 40 vitamin D metabolites. So let's talk a little bit about D2. Vitamin D2 is not produced by the human body. It's derived from fungal sources or yeast sources, or even a little bit from plant sources. Vitamin D2, though, allows companies that put out vitamin products to create vegetarian formulas because it's derived from fungal or yeast sources. Vitamin D3 is derived from animal sources or made in the skin. It's made from 7-dehydrocholesterol reacting with UVB ultraviolet light. So down here, this is your visible spectrum, the rainbow colors that we're all used to seeing. Then here over here is your UVB spectrum. And that's where you're getting your vitamin D made. So food sources. This is important. There are very few dietary sources of vitamin D. So, clinical pearl, strict vegetarians, and lactose intolerant individuals are likely to be substantially vitamin D deficient. And so are those in northern areas. We have anybody from Canada? Okay, that's pretty northern. Dark-skinned, smokers, and alcoholics. Food, cod liver oil, one of the best suppliers of vitamin D, but also you have to be careful because oftentimes you get the vitamin A in it. So you have to make sure you monitor the vitamin A intake if you're going that route. Salmon, of course we all here know you want to do the wild-caught salmon for the decrease in mercury. Mackerel, tuna, well, yeah, you can get some vitamin D in tuna, but how much mercury may you be getting in there? And then we get into the fortified sources, the milk and other sources there. But again, not really getting that much in diet. So in supplements, the D2, as we mentioned, it comes from irradiation of the ergosterol from yeast. D3, through the ultra-irradiation of 7-dehydrocholesterol from lanolin. And this is actually interesting. Lanolin, it's the yellow substance secreted by the sebaceous glands of wool-bearing animals. And in most cases, it's sheep. So if you're taking a vitamin D3 product, most of the time, it's going to be derived from lanolin. So we mentioned cod liver oil, but be careful of vitamin A. And so if you're buying vitamin D2 or having patients take it, if it's D2, now you know it comes from a plant source. If it's D3, generally it's going to be from lanolin, from sheep. And of course there's also prescription form as well. Here's a picture of my 2 cats that I have at home. I take pictures of them in various positions as well. This lion right here, the male lion, he's basically saying, hey baby, you know, I just want to thank you for being such a good lioness. That zebra you brought me last night was delicious. Really enjoyed that. Some people see this, well, maybe this is a sign of affection, maybe this is grooming. But very few people know that lion is actually licking vitamin D off the other lion. That's how many mammals, covered in fur, get their vitamin D from grooming each other. Because think about it. Look at all that fur. How much sunlight is actually getting to their skin? Pretty much none. So just like the sheep, the oil is secreted onto the fur. The oil on the fur then gets exposed to the sunlight, the UVB radiation, and starts the stage of the conversion to vitamin D. And so by licking each other, they're actually getting vitamin D. You didn't know there was going to be a little discovery, animal planet action in here, did you? Some more clinical pearls. Dr. Gedoff mentioned